Hello, for those of you who are just joining us, this is actually the very end lesson, 7 of 7, which I've actually been calling 1 of 8, 2 of 8, but I realized that really I only have 7 lessons to give you. Maybe the 8th one will be in June when I actually launch Highest Possibility States. This is a wrap-up lesson for a mini learning workshop that we've been doing online about finding your personal power, where that comes from, growing it, and allowing it to flow a little bit more easily. This series actually started when I was listening to a YouTube video by Alan Watts. He was discussing love in the inner fountain, and so I will post that link below. Love is a concept that I've been thinking about and experimenting with since I was about 16. Sometimes successfully, sometimes not so successfully. But some of the things that he said, as well as some things that I've experienced and thought about myself, really got me to thinking. First, this love, this power, it must spring up from within in order to flow out. And it must do so in our own unique way. But number 2, nothing can spring up and flow out if there is nothing in there to spring up and to flow out. And so that's what we've been really looking into. Where does this personal power come from? Where does this flow come from? And if you don't have much of it, how can you grow it and get it to flourish? That's some things that I'm going to be talking about in Highest Possibility States that I'll launch in June. You know, the other thing that I'll be talking about is the subconscious. I call it the subconscious shed. We really should be looking at and reflecting in our subconscious as much as possible. Because what I've learned is our subconscious controls about 90 to 99% of our behaviors and actions. So knowing what is in there is vitally important to see if it's going to serve our highest states or not. And just as you planted a seed, you have to give it time to let it sprout and give it some much needed attention. You have to get to the point where you understand that you deserve that love and that power just as much as you give it to other people. But it has to start with you understanding that you need to give that love and that attention to yourself first. Third, you must consider whether the power you do have and the things you are focused on is growing that inner self-love or if it is draining it by the people and things that you are focused upon. Last, if it is being drained, how do you tune it up, overhaul, or trade in the experience so that it is no longer being drained, but it is starting to grow and flourish, not just for yourself, but also for those around you. In this mini workshop, we did this by looking at where we focus on in life. And as I've been saying, where your focus is where your power is, and whether that is being drained or added to. We focus our power by narrowing our focus down to a top 1 to 5, 3 to 5 things that we would really like to put our focus into. Because we learned focus is a little bit like a water hose. You know, the less hoses you have hooked up, the stronger the power coming through. We also talked about compartmentalization, unhooking one hose and hooking it into the power source to give it your full attention in each moment, to give it your full force. We also looked about how we can take these small steps in order to make a large impact over time. We looked at what areas in our life we may need to be tuned up, overhauled, or traded in, as well as we learned some specific strategies on how to communicate when we have those difficult discussions. So whether it is love or your own personal power that comes from family, friends, your hobbies, your interests, whatever your top 1 to 5 things are, there is a range, there is an intensity to the focus. And by looking at that range, which we looked at in part 2 of 7 in this series, by looking at the rating scale, let's go take a look at that right now.
So we did this when we looked at our focus rating scale. Now, when we did it earlier this week, I didn't actually have you look at the whole range of emotions and intensity that we could feel, as you can see on this chart. But it might actually kind of come in handy right now. You could actually skim and scan this chart. What are some feelings that you do have that might be on here? And what we want to do is we want to move from negative feelings, these pink boxes, into higher states of positive feelings. So let's say you're feeling insecure down here. What you might want to move up to is you might want to move into self-reliant if you can. Maybe you are insecure, but maybe you can actually say, I actually am pretty good at taking care of myself and getting things done. That might move you into self-assured. That might start moving you into fearless, and so on and so forth, moving up that scale.
The goal is to move from one box to the next until you finally arrive at your desired destination. And that's what Highest Possibilities can help show you. The book will talk about what do I do if I don't have any motivation, as well as give you 9 tools and habits that you could consider incorporating into your own life that can increase your own personal power and flow. I hope that this mini-series has helped someone out there today so that you can use your own personal power and flow and new communication skills to help first yourself and then those around you, because now more than ever, the world needs your personal power and flow, and it needs you. Join me in June when I officially launch Highest Possibility States that will be found on Amazon.com, as well as the dates when I will tell you that I will have live workshops that can address some of these other issues. For now, I've got to go back to the job that actually pays my bills. See you in June. Peace and blessings.